Welcome back. It's the Tryin Times with your host, Jeremy Mountain, shot here in Buffalo, New York. We are out here trying once again. Tryin Times bring out the best in leaders, and that's what we're here to do, is help you bring out that warrior spirit, help you bring out that leadership spirit, help you get out of a funk, help you find some light in the darkness. The Tryin Times began in the pandemic of 2020, and today we sit on the brink of World War III. So we're going to realign our duty here, reestablish our responsibilities, and enlighten some of you, hopefully, to wake up. Talking a little bit of leadership. I'm not going to dive too deep into the whole political and or news basis of what's going on in the Ukraine, because I leave that to you. And that's part of what we're going to talk about today, is the responsibility of media literacy and a little bit of how my studies in college for journalism have led me to podcasting and recording. That responsibility in media literacy that once was held by journalists is now in the hands of every person that holds a phone. And we'll talk a little bit about how war on tape is going to look. We'll talk a little bit about President Zelensky. We'll talk a little bit about what we're learning from these first few days of war, and hopefully inspire somebody out there to start paying more attention, start preparing yourself for the best day or the worst day, and igniting that spirit. So thanks for listening, and remember, subscribe, like, follow. Thanks for listening, guys. So, when I went to college, I was coming off of a career playing football. As many of you know, several concussions led to a quick expiration, and I've had to do quite a bit of soul searching and finding myself in those years since, having to quit the one thing that, you tried to be, having to remove that and start over at age 18. I would expect it's not easy for an athlete out there to kind of rekindle their spirit. And I was told once, athletes die twice, and that was something that truly resonated with me. And as I kind of, grow through the professional landscape, I find that there aren't a lot of people out there with the fortitude or toughness of an athlete, but there is certainly another level of respect that I have for not only athletes, but people that were in the military. I have a close cousin of mine, who was a squad leader in the Marines. I have the utmost respect for people like him and people that have served our country, because as we can see over on the other side of the world, there are hundreds of thousands of people taking up arms and defending what they believe is theirs, which is their God-given right. We see one country entering another country with expectations, and we have seen a borderline OG American battle from the Ukrainians defending their own territory. I said the other day, the ghost of Kiev, legend of a fighter pilot who had allegedly downed several fighter jets the first day. It reminded me of Mel Gibson, the ghost in the woods versus those redcoats in the movie The Patriot. But that warrior spirit, that heart that comes through on the battlefield, on the field of sport, field of professionalism, there's levels, obviously, especially when there's lives at stake. But that's what we try to talk about here, is evidence of that warrior spirit, evidence of how to look up to someone because there is not a lot of people out there to look up to, in my opinion, and there hasn't been for a long time. But this President Zelensky from the Ukraine has certainly provided myself with an extreme enhancement of spirit for good, for what is just. And I'm someone who truly believes that we don't exactly know everything that's out there, but when I see some of this footage, and I've been really following pretty closely on Twitter, the evidence is in the hand of the people. And that has never really been before during war, where photojournalists are everyday citizens. War is being fought by everyday citizens with photographs leading to geopositions, telling side A or B where an enemy is. And this responsibility used to be held by journalists, whether it was print, radio, television. There was somewhat of a veil of responsibility that journalists were able to hold over the public. And what we're seeing now is that veil is literally down to a second on Twitter, where there is no interruption or rekindling of a story. That story is official as soon as that tweet is sent, as soon as that tweet is out. You're seeing a lot of propaganda from one side. You're seeing a lot of positivity from one side. But ultimately, we don't want to see this get to a devastation level. But the strategy of the Russians has seemed as though there was no strategy, but some of the technology, these NLAWs that have been coming from Great Britain, some of these tactical air defense systems coming from NATO, a lot of these things seem to be putting a big dent into Russia. Once again, go look up all this information on your time. But the strategic aspect of Russia is failing. We are seeing a lot of captured young men, confused, not provided with the intel on what their job was going to be. Ultimately, it seems as though, unfortunately, despite the positive side of a freedom fighting nation, you see images of women holding guns, getting ready to fight, all of this nationalism and all of this positive spirit. I'm just hoping that it doesn't provide Pennywise Putin with enough fear to strike with the true evil bombs. And this was something I was thinking about this morning, because evil doesn't really care about inspiration. Evil doesn't care about good deeds. In my opinion, evil burns when good deeds and positivity are near. And as much as I love to see the good side winning, you have to expect some dark moves by evil in the face of losing. But what we can see here, we can learn from. And this is sort of why I feel media literacy is so important, because I was lucky enough to study under a good professor at Buffalo State College here and learn quite a bit about being able to look at a story and sort of let your guard down, let your fear down, and try to capture it to provide the truth. And you can certainly learn a lot from what you're seeing over there. And I advocate everybody to not be afraid, because preparing to fail is failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And one thing we can learn about all of this is be prepared. And don't underestimate the power of evil and the power of an evil man. So out of the 5 things we've learned, that's number 1. Be prepared. Because it seems as though Ukraine was prepared despite all of the threats and hyperbole from the Russian side. The Ukrainian people have shown that they're prepared to defend, and hopefully that continues. But stay ready, and you don't have to get ready. The poor young sons of bitches for the Russians that were sent over without preparation, no camp material, no food, no water. They're all surrendering or finding themselves taking a dirt nap. So prepare accordingly. And that comes down to preparing mentally and preparing physically. And one part of preparing mentally is educating yourself. Part of the best way that you can sort of overcome a fear, whatever your fear is out there, would be educating yourself in that fear. Because once you're educated on that fear, it removes speculation. And I'll be honest, some of the information I've read regarding atomic bombs and these nuclear weapons, not going to be much you can do if that day comes. But at least you can educate yourself enough to know to not be afraid. Because evil feeds on fear. And we're not going to let that win, are we? Because we're riding in the trying times, baby. Freedom isn't free. Number 3, healthy reminder. I mentioned the Benjamin Martin, Mel Gibson character who was able to dismantle an entire cavalry of redcoats in The Patriot, but he was overstricken with the anger and passion of that one particular British officer killing one of his sons. But the reality that freedom isn't free in this entire country was at one point not free. And maybe we're not free right now. But this human spirit, this warrior spirit that has come up in the people of the Ukraine reminds us that freedom is not free, and there are good people out there that will stand up when faced with evil, when faced with adversity. But a healthy reminder that it could be worse. Number 4, there's honor in numbers. If you think that you believe in something that you don't think people are listening to you, or you think that you may have some information in a meeting at work, or you think that you may foresee something happening if someone close to you continues doing something, there's honor in numbers. And the power in numbers, the honor in numbers, starts with one person leading, one person telling the truth, one person not being afraid, one person sacrificing their whatever. But the honor in numbers starts with 1. And that's number 4. And number 5, personal opinion, but quite a bit of evidence. Good always wins. No matter what, just remember, good always wins. So we're going to take a quick break. I appreciate you guys listening. If you like what you hear, get at me in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter. Follow me, Jer7Reg. Covering a lot of that stuff over there. Stay informed. Stay prepared. Don't be afraid. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. I've just got a quick little wrap up for you. A nice positive ending for you after a grim and scary part 1 of the Tryin Times. We don't get scared here at the Tryin Times. So if you're scared by that segment, educate yourself, prepare yourself. We ain't afraid of anything here at the Tryin Times, but it's important to remember that your mental health muscles are muscles and they need to be trained. And it's not always easy to find mental health help. Whether you have a therapist or psychologist or something out there, that's great. Here at the Tryin Times, we don't really advocate medication for anything like that, but if you need it, if it helps, I don't know if it does, but hey, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist, but I am trying, and you're trying by listening to this. So I got 3 people for you to go check out to keep your mental health muscles strong. And number 1 is my old pal Rodney Yee. He's not my friend, but he feels like a friend because since I played football back in like 2012-ish, I started watching Rodney Yee yoga videos on my Spectrum Buffalo on Time Warner Cable, thanks to my big bro Rye, who was helping me train at the time physically for football, and I was doing a lot of heavy weight training at the time, and at that point it was just a means of working on flexibility and movement. But as I've gotten older and my body's gotten less strong and sort of cut a lot of bad food out, cut alcohol out, it has become a new journey when I do yoga, where it's not only for flexibility or making myself feel better as I warm up hungover at the gym, but yoga has become somewhat of a proactive approach to mental health, as I can start to notice when I don't do it. But that's me. I want you guys out there to give yoga a try. Start slow, but understand that there's no being good at yoga. There is no level of skill required. It's all you. It's all in your head. It's all your breath. It's all your thoughts. But Rodney Yee is about the best teacher out there. I don't watch a yoga video if it's not run by Rodney. Check it out. I think he's got a YouTube channel. He's got some paid resources out there, but honestly, there's like 15 videos on YouTube on his, I can't remember the name of it. It starts with a G, but that stuff will help your mental health if you do it, I promise. Number 2, my mom's favorite guru, one of them, Eckhart Tolle, or Eckhart Tolle, not exactly sure. I've heard it pronounced both ways. But my mom always talks about this guy and says he's really weird. And he is. His face looks kind of like a hobbit, like a real hobbit. He's got this really wizardly like aura. He's always saying things that seem to come from somewhere else. But the bottom line is, he's a really good resource for understanding the things that we can't really understand. And he translates things in his own way, almost in another language. It is the English language, but the way that he talks about struggle and overcoming internal challenges is just remarkable. I recommend anybody at least listen to a couple minutes of Eckhart Tolle or read a little bit of Eckhart Tolle. Truly, truly magical person. He will put your mind at ease. And then my number 3, third person to go check out for your mental health muscles is my homie, Deepak Chopra. Once again, not my homie, but Deepak Chopra, another one of my parents' favorite gurus. I just did read a book by him, Meta Human, 2019 book. I've also read parts of Super Brain and also parts of 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. But you may have heard of Deepak Chopra before, but just a truly remarkable brain. Partly science, partly like spirituality, and finding that balance in between. Whether you're anti-religion or the most religious person in the world, I think that reading or listening to Deepak Chopra will help open up your mind a little bit and just better understand, once again, these things that we can't seem to understand. So those are my 3 people. Once again, I'm not an expert in terms of being a psychologist or I don't have any papers on the wall to support my advice, but I do believe in the power of warrior spirit. I do believe in the power of the internal heart that is your mental health muscle. And I do believe in the power of leadership. And that's what we're all about. Strengthening those muscles, leadership, and finding the fortitude within to be the best version of yourself. So I will leave you here. 1, don't be afraid. 2, prepare yourself for anything. 3, freedom isn't free. Be grateful. Fight for it. 4, there's honor in numbers, but numbers start with 1. 5, good always wins, baby. Thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, remember to subscribe, share with somebody, tell somebody about this. I'm starting with 1. Now you go do the work, baby. Have a good week. We'll see you next weekend. Thanks for listening. Love you.